Hello, and welcome to Philosophive. I'm your host, Justin Land, and today I have Grace Taylor on my show. She's a psychic, intuitive, medium, and I'm excited to talk to her today. Hello, Grace.
Hi, Justin. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm really, really excited.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and again, it's with a lot of the podcasts. It's the Joshua connection that I see you're part of that community, and I came to know you through your posting on Facebook that you would be doing a free reading, and I'm a guy who loves free stuff, so I said, yeah, yeah, let's do it. And when it was a couple of weeks ago, and I was really impressed with your method and what you had to say. I find it you describe yourself as an amplifier of energies and positive ones too, and that's even shot out. I would say it gave me a higher perspective of things I was feeling, but I couldn't imagine ever doing. But still, it's cool to see that reflected. So, yeah, maybe you can say, tell a bit about yourself and how you came to these abilities. And
Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being my guinea pig. It was a lot of fun.
yeah,
I was
cool.
beginning to discover my psychic medium gifts, and so it was always really fun to do readings for people who I'm just total strangers to, because you really get to know people's story and their just what they're working through so intimately. So it's really fun. But yeah, so my name is Grace Taylor. I live in the New York area. And I was living what some might call a very normal life up until really coronavirus hit about 3 months ago. And I really went through um, a phase in my life that was very intense, where everything changed in me all at once. I mean, like, my car broke down. I quit my job. I left a relationship I was with, and I was really just unemployed, doing nothing, kind of feeling very lost. And then coronavirus hit. So the rest of society was like, let's shut down and be very lost and do nothing. And I was kind of sick as well. I was having really intense migraines, dizziness spells. I couldn't eat. I was nauseous pretty consistently. Like, I lost a lot of weight as well. And so in my searching for answers as to what was going on in my life that was just kind of appeared to me to be rapidly deteriorating, I have a psychic medium friend who I've just known for a couple of years, and she did a reading on me. she, to quote her directly, she said, "Damn, Grace, you're psychic."
Nice.
And I was like, what? I had no clue. I had absolutely no clue that apparently my entire life I have had psychic and mediumship abilities. And so I could just explain the difference right now too
Right.
for people who aren't so familiar. But psychic is someone who can read into future time potentials. So reading the future, the different ways that a certain scenario, big or small, might go. And a medium is someone who speaks with people who have crossover, people who have passed. So speaking with dead people, essentially. Um, and also the word that gets thrown around a lot too is intuitive. And that's kind of an umbrella term. And intuitive is someone who is psychic, medium, and intuitives can do other things like remote viewing, energy work. Reiki could fall under that umbrella. I mean, from the way I see it, intuitive is just, again, an umbrella term for kind of all of these skills.
Definitely noticed that in the way you were doing the reading. I would say that, I mean, we can all be open to these intuitive abilities, and I
Oh, yeah.
saw in your creative way some. I can imagine the images, that one gets, and you have it, I think, defined a bit more under quote unquote control. Whereas, I get like flashes of stuff, and even the remote viewing, I've just experienced that, but it's not like it was very momentary moments, and I didn't know where the hell that was, and it's like, but it was like I'm it was a really interesting experience because it was, when I closed my eyes, more real than this reality. It was like higher than HD. It was still
Mm.
fluid, and I was like, that's why I was like, oh, this is not like a normal image in my mind. And so these cool intuitive abilities, I was, because when I was talking to you, you had also difficulty explaining what you do because it's so unique, and I think that's really, how do you say, what is happening in general. People are trying to define or find, what is going on with them and how they can use it. And I think the structure is nice, but perhaps not being pigeonholed either as a medium, psychic, even an intuitive, maybe kind of, it seems like just like a direct flow in the now, maybe even you could say, like, just whatever thoughts, or you don't censor, maybe I'm just putting words maybe in your mouth, but like maybe the idea of taking off that censor that we often do based on our beliefs about what we can say, or what's plausible, or what's helpful, even because
Yeah, or even believing that the information that we're getting is real.
Yes.
Totally. I completely agree, because that's the biggest barrier for me. And I think the biggest barrier for, as you said before, I agree that a lot of people are opening up to different abilities or new avenues of receiving information that, say, you've been able to do before, but now it's coming on clearer or stronger. And it's really, really exciting. So it's recognizing that you're receiving that information as somewhere kind of other than yourself, and then also believing it and almost acting on it a little bit when you do receive it. So with my personal connection with my own spirit guides, I've been asking them for more clear and direct, like moment by moment instructions, right? Just to kind of play around with it. So if I'm driving around, I've been driving around a lot to pass the time of quarantine, just driving.
Nice.
And kind of set your intention to go somewhere new or see something that's inspiring. And then I'll just try and wait, turn left, turn right here, and kind of play with my intuition that way. And that those voices, sounds a little out there, but those voices can pop into your head. And the more that I follow them and kind of just believe, again, on a small scale, nothing crazy, nothing like invest all your money in Bitcoin. Okay, guys, but back up here a second.
Why not?
Why not, right?
If it came clear, like, I would say this is an interesting point with those type of things, like when they magnify over, they repeat themselves when it becomes more and more obvious. I would say, like, you get one message and you can, but if you keep on getting, like, it's reinforces itself in different channels, different, oh, maybe I should look at Bitcoin. Maybe it's, and I think the first step would be just like researching it, maybe watching a YouTube video, not thinking about actually investing. But it's like, I think we make things much more complicated for not physical to communicate to us when we're like trying to figure out what it's telling us and filtering that without just letting it say in the moment what it wants to say, and just let it go from that. Yeah.
In that way, like, unfortunately, we are our own worst enemy a lot of the time. And when I do my readings, I really feel that I connect with people's spirit team, their guides, and the energies that are present with them every day, that are there to help put them on their highest timeline or show them their, like, highest opportunities. And so almost every reading that I do, the guides want me to convey some information to who I'm reading on how they can further connect one-on-one themselves. Like, they love me as the middleman, right? It's fabulous for me to be the middleman, but to have access to that guidance, that information, and that, just that clarity on a daily basis yourself, and to truly know that you have that with you, that's like true empowerment. And that's when you can really start cooking and really start believing in the direction you're going, and start like setting the world ablaze. I love it. So that's my main intention with giving readings to people, is really helping them feel less alone, whether that is with their spirit team or loved ones that have passed away, helping them feel less alone, and then helping to empower them, to have access to that information themselves.
And how would you, what would be an example of that? So say that somebody talks to their grandpa, through you, you're the medium to the deceased grandpa. Mm-hmm. And what would that grandpa or grandfather say to you, or to communicate to you, try to get his sorry, I'm thinking for a second. grandchild. I think of the connection there. The grandchild,
loved one,
to directly connect. What would be an example of, like some sort of anchor for that? What would they?
Yeah, when spirits first come forward, they tend to show me their energy. So they'll show me kind of their personality traits, and then I'll confirm with that, well, was he very stoic, or was he like really, really funny? And then he'll give some general physical traits, tall, short, things like that. And then they'll give memories to try and validate. So those signs or symbols or memories that the loved one shared with their grandfather. And then once they're validated, oftentimes I'll see symbols that the spirit has been trying to convey to their loved one. So, you know, do you see birds a lot? Do you see butterflies a lot? A lot of times, have you been dreaming about this person or thinking of them? One time, so this wasn't like a human spirit, but this was a spirit guide, showed me that whenever their human was in the shower, they showed me them standing right behind them, and almost like, this sounds weird, but like whispering in their ear. But this whole point sounds weird, but whenever this person was in the shower, that was when their mind was the most clear and kind of devoid of all of those thought patterns that could block the incoming information. So I said this and their jaw dropped, and they were just like, I get all my ideas in the shower. I kind of don't feel alone in the shower, and it creeps me out. So I try and not think about it, right? I try and just, like, you know, clean up and move on. So connections like that can be shown. And oftentimes if the person that I'm reading is open to the process of automatic writing, if they're open to trying to channel some type of information themselves, if they're trying to meditate, then the spirit guides will encourage those activities as ways that they're trying to connect.
That's great. I mean, like I said before, you amplify things. So spirit is already communicating, obviously, with all of us. And that's a wonderful example of, like, that one point in time being confirmed when I was in the shower, to heed extra the messages and take them more seriously, not make them like, oh, that's just nonsense, which we often do with thoughts that can be quite genius. Or
yes.
And so I find this evaluation of the thoughts is interesting, because we're a receiver of thoughts. I mean, I've accepted this. I'm a freaking radio, and so and it's okay with me. What's that?
It's good you've accepted it. I've accepted it too.
But it's very freeing, because then I have, of course, access to, you know, the universe. Everybody does, and you just change the channel. And so one thing I've noticed, of course, is the receiving of things and thoughts. It has to be divinely timed and perfect. And so when it's an image of a flying purple pig, you know, or something, and it's really strong, you know, it comes right through during the shower, for example, you know, and then later you see you know, some sort of advertisement with that same pig. And then I think that's an anchor of confirmation that this is reality is very malleable. It's more dreamlike. And that's like the first step to having fun with non-physical and spirits. Yes. Because then you're like, oh, they want to play. This is really what they want to show me or us, you know, how to enjoy life more, to not take it so seriously. Because it seems like it has a big sense of humor. If the stuff, I mean, right? I mean,
they have nothing but fun. Let me tell you. Every time I tap into it, they have nothing but fun and love, and really hold the perspective that everything that happens to us, and as we move through even the most painful times of our lives, they hold that perspective of how valuable it is for us. So they got the good seats, nice. In my opinion. But one point I do want to bring up for anyone who who's listening to this and thinks they might be receiving information, you know, from their guides, from their team. Hint, if you're listening to this, you definitely are. Yes. Is to not be afraid by what you're receiving. And so especially sensitive people, we talk about empaths. So being an empath and being intuitive go hand in hand. You could almost say that using your intuitive skills or receiving intuitive guidance is the positive side of being an empath. Because when we're an empath, we are so open to the suggestion of other people's energies that we take it on. And that includes non-physical energies, you know, physical energies, locations, places. Sometimes, I mean, I'm an incredible empath, and if I drive by a cemetery, I get a read, and now I'm starting to understand. I get an absolute read on that place. Also, just battlefields, different things I do. churches. Churches are honestly very tough for me to be in. I get really, it's like spiked energy levels, just really intense energy every time I'm in a church. And I was raised in the Catholic Church. So you can imagine how much more sense my life is making to me now,
Yes.
looking back. But the point I was making about, being empathic and being open to other energies, once you understand the information you're receiving, you can start to use it in a way that makes sense to you. And this is being intuitive. So the less afraid you are of the information you're receiving and the more fun you can have with it, the more guidance you'll be able to receive on a daily basis, and the relationship between you and your guides or wherever this information is coming from can begin to be developed. So they absolutely want to make it fun. They absolutely want to make it kind of a little bit of a puzzle, like puzzle pieces, like you said, the purple pig, and then you see the purple pig later. Ask them and intend them. If you want to further this relationship, ask your guides to make it as silly as possible. Ask them to make it fun. Ask them to like give you little breadcrumbs that lead to something that's going to bring you a lot of joy in a couple weeks, and then receive, and then be open to receive and see what you get, and don't doubt yourself. And it can really help a lot. You'll be amazed.
That's absolutely true. The doubting and the judgment of the information. So like, I think the only filters that we have are, ones that we've chosen over, and we've taken on these filters that I'm not smart enough, for example, to receive certain information, and that therefore you depower, how you would say that, you depower yourself? No, empowering.
Yeah. Disempower.
Disempowering. I'm sorry, guys. I'm living in Germany, so I'm switching back to English is sometimes difficult.
We know what deep power means. We've all done it too, so we know.
I'm making words up. That's great. And
great words.
So it's, I think that's part of what's happening is just like, if you got the image, for example, of a purple pig, it's divine. And it could mean nothing in that moment. Maybe but it has more potentiality of developing, and like it's like a little seed, and then the seed leads on to different things. And I see that you're I love how you're moving. I've seen this with many people who actually channel that, and I've noticed also for myself that you get into that vibratory meditative, how would you describe that? What you're doing right now?
It's really interesting because I didn't even notice I'm kind of just like rocking in a circle right now, but it's the energy. It wants to move, and it feels better when it moves. So for me, it's just, I think, a sign that I'm either more elevated or connecting.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe it would be a good moment to kind of showcase your skills a little bit for the public. We do like maybe you were talking about medium to, well, as for deceased, and maybe an example with me. Can I make a request, or does somebody just come in who would like to speak to me? Maybe this is
okay. I've never done this before for the public, but I'm excited to do it.
Me too. See who comes.
Let's see. This is are you thinking of a specific loved one who passed?
I mean, what do you feel is most conducive? Is that I decide, or does spirit decide who comes through? Or is it actually happening at the same time? I'm thinking grandfather, because I mentioned the grandfather example, although I never met my grandfathers. And so maybe, do you need a name, or
names help, but I definitely do think there's a grandfather here. And I also felt that when we said it too. Should have said it. Should have said it. Okay.
Yes.
Do you have a name of the grandfather on your mother's side? Who's on your mother's side?
That's exactly the one I was thinking about. That's Russell Land.
Russell. And you said you didn't know him, right? Because he's, I'm asking for things of validation. He was showing me you guys are very far. You feel very far. Did your mother have a good connection with him, or was she also removed from him during life?
That's a good, interesting point. I think that she had, like many people with their fathers and mothers, a
Mhm.
complicated relationship. He was very intellectual, a doctor, so he could. I think there was even stories of him, renting a hotel room to read a book, to get away
That's
from his
I,
wife.
I was just going to say it feels like so he's showing me your grandfather, he loves you very much, and he's showing me regret towards not being more present for your mom and all of his kids, all of his children. He didn't feel it was necessary at the time, but looking back now, he sees that he missed out a lot on the fun parts of life. And it's not just he's showing me money, so like it's kind of like the man provides, and he thought it's a checklist. He thought he had done everything he wanted to do, but upon his life review or upon him coming back and looking at it now, he wishes he got to have more fun. Your mom had a lot of siblings? You showed me a big family.
No, that would be actually she's the only child.
Okay. Do you
So
have extended family?
what's up?
Do you have extended family growing up?
Yes, I mean there's extended. I mean I would say maybe she had a few cousins and um, yeah. So yeah, that I would say more. Yeah, she was the spotlight. Obviously, being the single child, I would say, and
Is she
the,
very smart? He's saying she's brilliant. He's saying
yeah,
she's so
my mom's very smart. Yeah, I would definitely concur. And she's probably going to be watching this as well, so I'm sure she'll enjoy.
Oh, that's good. Maybe
Yeah.
that's why he came through too, because he wants to say that he's with her a lot right now, especially. It does feel like she's going through, you could validate this for your mom. Does it feel like she's going through a tough time right now or a time of change in her life? A
Mm.
lot of things are shifting.
I would. I don't know about that. Obviously, from when I speak to her, it seems like it's the day to days. It's pretty stable. It hasn't been uplifted by this whole Corona thing too much, and so
He just
uh,
said with her though during this time of change. That's what he said. He wants you to know I'm with you now. He says I'm not missing out on a moment anymore. And since he's passed, he's been with her every moment that she thinks of him. He's there, and also she's done a really good job honoring him. She speaks really well of him. She speaks kindly of him
mm,
more than he thinks he deserves.
mm,
And so he's just thanking her for that, for honoring him so kindly and for always thinking of him and being very respectful.
very nice. No, and
Very
I
daughter.
feel a connection to him too. I mean, obviously, not just genetically. I guess we're obviously the same soul family as well, and I know that.
You reading a lot of books and you go
Yes.
down rabbit holes and you get
Yes.
lost.
Yeah. I read more books in the past when I was, up until, through my studies, and I was really always just like consuming books. Now my medium of choice is audio and visuals, and
Mhm.
I noticed that switch in me because of the consummation of information is so much easier nowadays with digitalization. I'm saying German now. Digitalization. Yes.
Ah, I got it. I understand.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, he showed me a detective's um, glass, like
Yep.
you're a sleuth, and this is what you guys have in common. You both like
Yep.
to figure out puzzles, and he's also saying sometimes, let me know if this resonates, you make it a little harder on yourself than it needs to be.
Mm.
So finding the answer, he's saying it's okay. It doesn't always have to be. He's showing me hoops, jumping through 12 hoops,
Mm.
that you can get the answers a little quicker. And right now at this time on Earth, with this increased level of information that we all are have access to now, because I do believe things are increasing. Take some things at face value, because he's showing me you have questions and the answer is kind of right there, but you almost think it right now. You think it should be a little harder, or like it can't be that
Mm.
easy.
Right. That's a good point, actually. Yeah. I definitely seeing that. And it's funny you mentioned the sleuth idea. Because I would say about a week or two ago, I rarely get audio clear, like a voice in my mind that just speaks out. But I got the voice Columbo,
Mm.
like Columbo, like in the moment I wrote it down. It's like, okay, Columbo, and I thought of that character on TV, Columbo, of course, and you kind of confirmed. I thought, well, the spirit trying to tell me, and I do agree that I do like to investigate and try to understand reality. And I see that the more you look at it, of course, you know, the deeper, and it just, it's a bottomless pit of many, or in many ways. Yeah.
Yeah. But so he's just reminding you and he's saying, have fun with it. That's part of the fun and the adventure is moving through all of the information to find the answers. But sometimes you really can ask a question and get the answer pretty much right away. And it feels like it'll help you. And he's showing me you writing things down. So this is for everyone out there listening too. If you have questions that you want to receive information from your guides, from spirits who passed, write them down or say them out loud and intend to receive those questions, big or small. Because we are more in charge as the, you know, human living down on earth. We're more in charge than we give ourselves credit for. Our spirit guides are just that, they're guides, but we are the ones actually making the decisions. We're the ones who every day get up, and our emotions, our thoughts, that we're driving our perception of our reality. So the guides want to help so much. They want to guide us with any questions we have. So if you have specific questions, ask them. So Grandpa's showing me, write down your questions, and then you can almost keep note of when things come. Even if it feels like it's too easy, just write it down next to it, because it feels like you're putting big puzzles together, which is really exciting.
No, I mean, there's information that sometimes I receive, like especially about like technical stuff, and this is, you know, not my forte, you know, like you know, and I'm like, you know, putting the pieces, like, okay, I mean, what can I do with this information? You know, I don't, you know, I can't build this, I can't, you know, I can't test this, you know, and it's like, and so that's exciting too. Like, you know, I think that my beliefs obviously will prevent me from, but I can be a facilitator of just passing on, and like as well as you as a medium, you know, you kind of, we all are passing information on to others who can maybe use it in different ways. And I feel like that's one of my points of being here, is to be a facilitator of like just passing this information.
Absolutely. And they're saying, and he's saying too, because you enjoy it. You enjoy, some people really don't enjoy going down the rabbit hole, but you enjoy it and you love it. So for you to go in and collect relevant pieces of information and then frame them in a way that is your perspective of how more or less positive that could look, and then pass that on to other people, it's really, really helpful to a lot of people in your life. And especially they're showing me on the internet, you sharing your perspective on things on the internet, and then like loads of information too. It helps people.
Okay, good. I mean, I just,
fun.
What's that?
You do it for fun. Like, it's so much fun.
Yeah. I mean, I like, there's always, that is a very interesting thing, because we're kind of stuck in our own consciousness, right? So I always assume that other people automatically have the same interests that I do. Like, why wouldn't you be interested in what's behind reality, what's behind the curtain, and the depth? And then I see, okay, there are examples of people who their point of being here and their experience is a different route. They're living maybe in joy or some other experience, but they're always, you know, they don't need to ask questions about these things. They can be with their family and do their job, and I think that's just as enriching for a spirit having a physical experience. But for some reason, I seem like it's like it is a passion of mine that I just identified as a passion, because it's like it's just for myself, you know. It's like I don't see any other, I don't necessarily, now I don't see like I need to have a purpose beyond that, you know.
And I mean, what just came to me too is, think of your soul as a non-physical soul. When we're not incarnated, we have access to all information like that. You have a question, it is answered. So how much fun for someone who loves the adventure and of finding those little clues and piecing them all together, how much fun to come down to earth and get to help play that role of really discovering, like, no instant answers, really having to discover and sift and sort through different things. It's fun.
That's the journey. You're absolutely, and it's
the journey.
It's not the accomplishment or the finding of the answers, as if there are answers, because truth is, anyways, I've discovered it's based upon beliefs, and your truth is going to be different than my truth, and so we're playing with this idea of, you know, what would it be like to prefer chocolate to vanilla, you know, and in spirit, it's obviously both are equally loved, you know, but here we can play, oh, no, chocolate's better. It's totally objectively true that statistically most people enjoy chocolate, you know, and so
Right.
it's scientifically proven that chocolate is healthier, da, 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 da. And this is, you know, uh, when you discover that and you're like, okay, but the one thing I would say is, you know, the meaning aspect for humans, we love to think that it has some sort of deep meaning, you know,
Yep.
our beliefs and what we treasure. And I'm, you know, I treasure things and I have these, but I don't want to say that anybody else should have it, or that it's better than anything else. You know, this is where it really getting, I have to let go of that. That's one of the biggest things to let go of, is this idea of things being special, or, you know,
Yeah.
it's always a choice, you know. And
I love that, because I feel like a lot of us come into, say, this Joshua work, or other just big thoughts, ideas, and, you know, we feel so special. We're told we're special. We feel special. We know that we're viewing things from a different perspective. And then there's that unlearning of, if I'm special, then everyone else, all other 7 point whatever billion people, are just as special as me, and coming into the respect for their journey, their perspective, just like you were talking about. And I mean, that's one of the hardest things too, when you look at, you know, these big examples people give. How could you condone all of the violent acts that happen on this planet? You know, how could you really sit by and watch and say that that's okay? And it's that higher perspective of knowing that we actually all are just as special, to have the free will choice to go through whatever it is we're going through.
it's you know, it's, I mean, when with the biggest thing that spirit has done is, of course, or non-physical, has come from me, the idea of transitioning. So a lot of my experiences have just told me it's okay, like, it's waking up, and it's actually a better feeling because you're letting go. And the idea of, you know, this little ego personality that I have, it's a very cute thing, you know. It's like we see it in ourselves and we can operate, but it's so limiting that I can see why spirit says, okay, there's a time limit to this game, because you don't want to be doing this for thousands of years in this physical incarnation. It doesn't serve us, obviously. Maybe it did in the past or in certain realities, but in this reality, there's a time limit that we set, and I think we choose when we depart.
Yeah.
And that's appropriate. It's always perfect. And that's also
Perfect.
been a very big realization for me, from spirit, from the past. You know, people have passed away. It seems like they're having a great time.
They're having the best time. They really, really are. And to just assure everyone, I mean, when I get to feel someone's loved one in my field of energy, it always lifts. And they always, typically I'm asking them for information that their loved one wants to know based on, you know, their life down here on earth. But as soon as you start to ask about information about up there, they just, it feels like time up there. We know it's irrelevant, but it's like, it's almost like they lose this grip of time, and there's just this, like, it's like a spinning. So I see a spinning, and it's like the energy is so increased up there, and their experiences are much more easily linked together as they move throughout they don't even have days, right? Because they don't even have nights enough to sleep, but it's like this flowing from one experience to another to another. And many of them are very, I find, so our spirits, our past loved ones who pass on, a lot of them are still linked to the family ancestry, especially if something really traumatic happened. So you talk about like healing ancestral trauma. So if they had a part in that, then they're often more present and a little bit of a lower vibration that I feel, closer to their loved ones. And the ones that are on the other side and they are exploring other ideas of reality, maybe they're supporting the experiences on earth in a different way, or maybe they're off playing in truly another, just a different dimension. Like, they love you, they're here, they want to say hello, but they're less earthly.
Yes.
They're off doing other things. They always feel a little more disconnected to me, and a little, like, just a little higher. And their answers for me come through more simpler. It's not that anything's wrong or right, right? It's just that they're a little further away, maybe. That's my interpretation so far.
Oh, I think it's a good one. Yeah, it's hard to communicate something that's formless in concepts and ideas, and it's always going to be just a part of the. It's going to be incomplete. We're always going to have an incomplete picture of what it is to be non-physical. We have our dreams, of course, which I think that non-physical is obviously more like that, where this is a dream as well, but there you can jump around, and I can imagine non-physical being more of a lucid kind of dream. And it doesn't, I would say that there has to be a reason why one chooses to forget, and part of it is just to experience what time and space is, to have limitations. Wouldn't it be fun for us if we all come and pretend like you're that person, I'm that person, and
wouldn't
then,
it be fun?
yes, and we're like, when you're in it, you're like, you're like, oh, this is maybe crap, or like it'd be better to be free, but it's the realization that you're free in this form that makes you a powerful creator of, that I think that's what we're here for at this time of transition, is to experience this idea of how, non-physical and physical interplaying with each other, where physical understands it's what's happening, because in the past we always had, God is far, above, and no, it's right here, God is here,
Right.
it's us, and it's, yeah,
it's in now, it's inwards, it's looking inwards. And we hear these things over and over, right? We hear these phrases over and over, but I find that as I've opened myself up more, they're starting to feel and resonate more with me, and I get to really feel them. So, this time on the planet, we who are having these conversations, we're here to uplift one another, and really it's a true empowerment. We're truly stepping into our own power. And I think we came down here to be some of the first to really step into this power, so that we could really show everyone else to how to empower themselves. It's like a chain link. We're not all going to make it until everyone has like grabbed hands with each other and shown each other the way to really live in your own empowerment.
Yeah, we're definitely on the way there, and exciting times. And Grace, maybe you can mention a little bit where people can find you or learn more about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, I don't have a website yet. I'm working on it, but I have a Facebook page, an Instagram, and I'm also on TikTok. All the fun, apparently. Having a lot of fun on TikTok. So it's Grace Taylor Intuitive on Facebook and Instagram, and then on TikTok, it's grace.taylor.intuitive. And I'm going to start doing like live little mini readings free on Instagram and TikTok, and then also on all three of those places you can find my where to book a private session with me, because I do private sessions and they're a lot of fun.
Nice. And I'll put the links below on YouTube, and so people can find you. And I definitely recommend. Was very impressed, and just now also I'll be consuming what you said. And
your grandpa did not say goodbye. He's over either reading a book in the corner or like studying something. Did he like tools? And like have like a workshop and a warehouse?
Interesting. I'm not sure if that's my mom about that. I know he was into radio frequencies and stuff, which
he's tinkering with something. It looks like tools in the corner and like he's reading, but he's hanging out and
he's enjoying himself.
Enjoying the conversation. And please do let me know if your mom resonates with the message that came through, but he's with her a lot. Yeah.
All right. Then, Grace, I guess we'll wrap up the show, and I'm very thankful and appreciative.
I'm so thankful too.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to another time. I'd love to have you on again sometime in the future and see how this develops, because this is in flow, and this is something that's becoming, I think, for you, like a manifestation that's really fascinating. Yeah, really quick manifestation as well as it's such a turn.
Yep, I'm holding on as fast as I can, but it's a lot of fun. So yeah, I really, really appreciated being here today.
Thank you. All right, Grace.
Thanks.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.